There are moments when the world does not behave as we expect. A shadow seems to move where nothing has moved. A sound is heard before its source is visible. A shape in the distance appears human until it isn't. In those moments, the body reacts before thought forms. The heart changes pace. Breathing shifts. Attention narrows. Nothing has happened, and yet something has. The human brain, a structure of tissue and electrical activity, weighs little more than a kilogram. Yet within it exists an ancient reflex. When confronted with ambiguity, it does not wait. It predicts, it fills gaps, it constructs, and sometimes it constructs incorrectly. This documentary is not about superstition. It is not about spectacle. It is about recorded events, measured events, witnessed events, moments when reality presented something unusual, and the human brain reacted in ways that reveal its limits. We begin with a sound heard once, and never conclusively identified. In the austral winter of 1997, hydrophones placed across the Pacific Ocean recorded something unusual. These underwater microphones were operated by the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The date recorded was July 1997. The region was the southern Pacific Ocean, west of the southern coast of Chile. The sound was low frequency, extremely powerful. It rose gradually in intensity over roughly 1 minute. Sensors thousands of kilometers apart detected it. More than 5,000 kilometers separated the instruments, yet the signal appeared on each. The recording was later given an informal name, the bloop. The ocean floor in that region is sparsely observed by humans. It is cold, deep, expansive. Much of it remains unseen. When researchers first examined the recording, they compared it with known sources. Submarine activity was considered. It did not match. Volcanic activity was examined. It also did not match. The structure of the sound resembled something else. Biological vocalizations, the kinds produced by very large marine animals. Some researchers briefly considered whether an unknown creature might be responsible. The idea circulated, quietly at first, then more widely. But what followed was not primarily about the ocean. It was about how the human mind responds to uncertainty. Researchers continued examining the acoustic structure, frequency range, amplitude patterns, geographic triangulation. As more data was compared, another possibility emerged. The sound resembled large ice fractures. These events are sometimes called icequakes. When massive Antarctic ice shelves crack or shift under pressure, they release powerful acoustic energy. Low frequencies travel extremely well through ocean water. The grinding and breaking of ice can produce sounds that travel vast distances. Over time, further analysis suggested the 1997 signal matched these patterns. By the early 2000s, researchers concluded that the sound likely originated from large ice movements in the Southern Ocean. No unknown animal, no hidden species. A physical process, measured, modeled, gradually understood. Yet something had already occurred in the public imagination. Before the explanation stabilized, the mind had begun filling the silence. Why? Because ambiguity activates pattern completion. The brain does not tolerate incomplete signals easily, especially when those signals are powerful, especially when they originate far away, especially when they cannot be seen. The bloop was not extraordinary in geological terms, but cognitively, it was revealing. It showed how quickly the mind moves from observation to interpretation. When confronted with missing information, the brain often prefers a story, even if the data is not yet complete. The gap between recording and explanation lasted only a few years, but within that gap, speculation expanded, not because people are irrational, but because the brain evolved to detect agency. In ancestral environments, a rustle in tall grass might indicate a predator. Assuming danger, even when none existed, was often safer. False alarms were less costly than missed threats. Over thousands of generations, this bias became embedded in neural systems. The amygdala responds rapidly to ambiguous signals. The prefrontal cortex interprets afterward. In the absence of visible cause, the brain suggests one, often larger than the underlying reality. This tendency is not a flaw. It is a survival mechanism. But when applied to rare natural phenomena, deep ocean acoustics, cosmic signals, atmospheric events, the reaction can exceed the evidence. To see this more clearly, we move from the ocean to the night sky, to an event that occurred decades earlier, an event recorded by thousands, investigated extensively, and still discussed today. March 13th, 1997, Arizona, United States. Shortly after sunset, residents across the state reported seeing lights in the sky. The lights appeared in a broad V-shaped formation. They moved slowly, silently. Witnesses reported a steady progression across the night sky. The phenomenon stretched over a wide geographical area, including the city of Phoenix. Thousands of people observed the lights. Some recorded video. Local news stations broadcast the footage. The event later became known as the Phoenix Lights. Investigations followed. Military authorities later explained that part of the event involved illumination flares. These flares had been released during a training exercise by the Maryland Air National Guard. Flares descend slowly. They drift. They appear suspended in place from certain distances. They also extinguish one after another. Video analysis confirmed that at least one cluster of lights behaved exactly this way. But the reports from observers were not identical. Some witnesses described only drifting lights. Others described something different. They reported a large, dark shape blocking out stars. Still others observed lights at different times of the evening. The testimonies did not fully align, and once again, the human brain filled the gaps. For some observers, the flare explanation was sufficient. For others, it was not. The central question is not simply what the lights were. The deeper question is why perception diverged so widely. Vision feels immediate, direct, reliable. But perception is not passive reception, it is active construction. The retina collects fragments of light. The brain then interprets them. Motion, distance, depth, pattern, all are inferred. At night, many visual cues disappear. Distance becomes difficult to judge. Scale becomes uncertain. A small, bright object nearby can appear identical to a much larger object far away. When several lights appear in loose alignment, the brain often groups them together. This is a known perceptual principle. The mind prefers coherent patterns over scattered elements. It imposes structure. Under low information conditions, this tendency becomes stronger. Memory also contributes. Human recall is reconstructive. It is not a perfect recording. When groups discuss an event, their recollections gradually influence each other. Descriptions become aligned. Phrases repeat. Images stabilize. This does not mean that people are dishonest. It reflects how memory functions. The Phoenix Lights remain a documented event. There is footage, there are explanations, there are disagreements. Not because evidence is absent, but because perception and expectation shape interpretation. We now move to a different kind of phenomenon. One that does not involve distant oceans or distant skies. Instead, it involves the body itself. In 1998, researchers Matthew Botvinnik and Jonathan Cohen published a study. The experiment became known as the rubber hand illusion. The setup was simple. A participant sat at a table. One of their hands was hidden from view. In front of them, a realistic rubber hand was placed on the table. Both the hidden real hand and the visible rubber hand were gently stroked with small brushes. The strokes occurred at the same time. After several minutes, something unusual happened. Many participants reported a shift in perception. They began to feel as though the rubber hand belonged to them. not metaphorically, physiologically. Researchers then performed a final test. They suddenly struck the rubber hand with a hammer. The real hand remained untouched, yet participants reacted. Their heart rates increased, their bodies flinched. The brain had incorporated the artificial hand into its body representation. This effect was measurable. The illusion occurs because the brain integrates multiple sensory signals: visual information, tactile sensation, timing. When these signals align closely, visual information often dominates. The brain concludes that the seen object must be part of the body. Ownership is inferred. The boundary between self and object shifts. This experiment has been repeated many times across different laboratories, across different countries. Each time, the result is similar. The brain's model of the body is flexible, dynamic, constructed. If the sense of ownership over one's own limb can shift within minutes, it raises a quiet question. How stable is perception itself? Across these events, a distant oceanic sound, unusual lights in the sky, a laboratory illusion, a common pattern appears. Ambiguity invites construction. Construction produces emotional response. Emotional response reinforces interpretation. The brain is not designed to wait indefinitely for certainty. It is designed to decide, often quickly. In most environments, this ability is useful. Rapid interpretation supports survival, but rare phenomena present a different challenge. They provide limited information, inconsistent signals, incomplete data. Modern environments also present stimuli that evolution did not anticipate. Hydrophone networks, high-altitude illumination flares, artificial prosthetics. Our neural systems adapt slowly to these contexts. When prediction fails, the brain registers error. In neuroscience, this is often described as prediction error. The brain constantly predicts incoming sensory input. When the input does not match the prediction, tension appears. Strangeness is often this mismatch becoming conscious. The mind seeks resolution, sometimes immediately, sometimes prematurely. The oceans still produce sounds that require careful study. The sky still presents lights that demand patient analysis. The human body still reveals unexpected properties under controlled experiments. None of these observations require supernatural explanations. None require hidden forces. They reveal something simpler: limitation. Measurement improves. Instruments become more precise. Models become more refined. But perception remains interpretive. The human brain reacts strangely, not because the world is strange, but because the world is larger than its internal models. Uncertainty is not emptiness. It is the distance between observation and understanding. Within that distance, the brain does what it has always done. It builds explanations, sometimes carefully, sometimes quickly. Always in motion. We do not end with a final answer. Instead, we arrive at proportion. The ocean remains vast. The sky remains distant. The human mind remains complex. Knowledge expands. Certainty contracts. And somewhere between those two movements, curiosity continues, quietly, unresolved.